Gather round, folks, and I'll tell you a tale of a guy and a couple of his friends that had an idea. An idea for a TV show about comics back in the infancy of YouTube and our halcyon days of youth. We called it last Wednesday and we talked about comics, news, and reviews. This was long before monetization was a thing. I mean, hell, this was long before there were ads on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube used to be ad-free. We did it all for fun. Well, I did anyway. But that's a story for a different time. On occasion, we'd make it to a convention and talk to some of the creatives that made the books we loved. This is how I made friends with and got to interview some of my favorite people in comics. Speaking of which, prepare for incoming time capsule in 3, 2, 1.
Back to last Wednesday, I'm Luke, and we're here at MegaCon 2007. My next guest is a very prolific writer, Mr. Mike Carey. Mike, how's it going for you tonight?
It's great. I'm really enjoying it. This is my first time in Florida, my first American con outside of San Diego. I'm having a wonderful time.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. And you said earlier that you were, when you were writing Hellblazer, you threw in some of your personal experiences. What were those?
Well, the thing about John is, although he lives in London and is identified with London, he's actually from somewhere else. He's from Liverpool, and he came south in his teens, which is pretty much the same as what I did. I was born in a sort of very working class area in Liverpool, and then I came south at 19, and I'd never gone home again. I've been living there for like 25 years. So whenever I have John go back to Liverpool, I have him revisit all of the places that I knew as a kid. I have him drinking in the bars that I used to drink in. His childhood friends and enemies are actually people from my own childhood with the names very slightly changed.
Excellent. Now, when you moved to Liverpool, did you join a punk band called Mucous Membrane?
Strangely, no. They offered me a gig, but I'm totally tone deaf, so I turned them down.
Well, that probably saved them a lot. What would you say? What advice would you give a writer trying to break into the comics industry?
Well, the main advice, the most important thing, I think, is just keep at it. Just write a hell of a lot. Keep doing it as much as you possibly can. Get as much feedback as you possibly can. Do the spade work. Look at formats, script formats. It's a lot easier now than it was when I started out, because so many of the trades have value-added features where you actually see the original script and you can compare it with the finished product. So look at that stuff. Think about how other writers are doing it. Make sure you get the format right. Look at how they give art direction and don't ask for impossible things from the artist. The technical side these days is a lot easier than it used to be, so make sure you don't mess up on that side. And hopefully the creative part of it will come if you love it and you keep doing it.
And what are you currently reading right now?
In terms of comics, well, I'm a big fan of Joss Whedon, so I never miss an issue of Astonishing X-Men. I read a lot of the Vertigo stuff. Exterminators is very cool. Brian Wood is a great writer, so DMZ is a cool book. I read all of the X-Men titles because now I'm writing one. You know, I've got an excuse.
Yeah, you got to find out what's going on.
Yeah, sure. My wife can't complain. What else? I'm still reading Hellblazer. I'm a Hellblazer completist.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Well, thank you very much for your time, Mike. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Luke.
And enjoy the rest of the con. We will be back with more footage here at MegaCon 2007.